Perfect. Right. So at this point, I just open the slide and we can start with the distribution 2.0, sustainable intermediation, the post-pandemic era, together with Amit.
Okay, let's do it.
Thank you, Enzo. So, at HyperGuest, we have been, in our experience dealing with distribution from the technology side, we also known as the connectivity. And these are obviously unusual time. We are in constant communication with hoteliers, property managers, and travel providers from all over the world, trying to think what is post-pandemic distribution looking like. What are some of the issues? And on the one hand, obviously we have tremendous challenges in the industry, but at the same time it's a chance to look at the future a bit more strategically, think more focusing on bottom line, focusing more on how things can work better in face of the new situation as we evolve, what should be in the technology stack for hoteliers and so on. So if we are looking at what we coming out of this conversation, this vision of what makes a sustainable distribution technology model, and what are some of the issues that could be really putting the hotels in a great position to address the current opportunities, is basically to look at the intermediation in a different way, to expect different things from it, and to rethink what we come to take for granted so far as limitations. They don't have to have those limitations. So we look at it in those three different ways. We need to talk about open business, being open for business, ready to do business, be free, not having barriers, just being able to plug and sell when you have finding new opportunities or new technologies are coming around. Also moving from a model that's really old world of always thinking about contracting, reaching out, but the way many industries have moved to open marketplace, and that proven itself very well. It's just a hotel can say, okay, these are my rate, availabilities, amenities, these are the rules of the game, and anybody can buy as long as I'm in a secure position to do business in this way, and therefore I can find new partners, and then I can upgrade my relationship with them over time. This is a much more innovative approach for the hotels, or allows them to innovate with distribution. Another aspect is the aspect of speed, agility, being fast to innovate. So we heard today a lot about hotels being able to reclaim distribution, that they've given it away to others who are doing a pretty good job. But if you want to reclaim, you're going to try new things. And I'll just give you one example of a hotel we're working with, saying, okay, we are close to the airport, and we'd like to introduce hourly based reservations in partnership with the actual airport facility. Great, this is a great idea. Makes sense for the travelers, makes sense for the airport to give service, and makes us bring more business and differentiation for the hotel. Now they come to the connectivity and technology piece, and what do they hear? Oh, you have a new connectivity requirement. This will take about 1 year, and you need to bring other 100 hotels who need the same kind of technology. So obviously you understand, it's obvious that this is not how innovation takes place. Innovation means that you try things, you fail fast, or you succeed fast. So that's the next aspect, is just being agile and being more on the bottom line. I think that over the years, the industry has used a middleman model extensively. Nowadays, one of the advantages is actually to go direct, and not just introduce new partnership and channels, but also when you have a promotion, when you have new innovative ideas like rate plans and so on, have full control to do that with ease and with safety. And that, of course, is where it's all about. Is just taking the cost of distribution down. That's going to be essential in the post-pandemic era, if that's the way to look at it. So when we think about direct, and selling direct has been a holy grail in the past few years already, but it always meant just go to the hotel website, go to the booking engine, get the hotel in there, and of course the hotel supposedly doesn't have to pay. anyone. But then you realize that actually just to get the user into the website, there's a whole cost model just to do that. When you start to calculate what that means, that actually that might not be expensive. But when you think about it, selling direct is not just to the hotel website. It's basically making your product well positioned to be sold directly in many different locations. So you can sell direct in an agency's feed. We can sell direct on meta searches. You can sell direct on emerging and specialist OTAs. And when you're working with corporations, we need to expand how we look at that concept of direct sales in this way as the technology makes that possible. We talked today about how is meta search evolving, and I think that's a clear distribution. If you have to switch the things around and look at it from the consumer standpoint, they really can't tell the difference if they are now looking at the results on a Google, on a search engine, on a recommendation site, or on a pure meta search. For them, it's a list of prices, great deals, pictures. They can convert, they can buy, and so the line is the consumer really doesn't know that behind the scene there is one model or another. But if you flip this back to a hotel standpoint, historically we looked at things like Google as a responsibility of the marketing department or the entire ecosystem, and Facebook is making its steps in that direction, and others as well. I think that we have to now talking about reclaiming. Definitely, this is since for the user there's no difference between an OTA and some of those media sites. We should look at it the same from a distribution side, from a revenue management side, especially pay per stay and things like converting directly on the different meta searches. These are great opportunities to basically think about them. This is a new generation of OTAs, really, but as they are building themselves, if we can work directly with them as hotels, then we will be in a much better position, to exploit and to make sure we are presenting ourselves in the best way and making the most profitable transaction as we are doing that. The previous disc continues straight from our discussion now on property management. And again, I always like to flip things around, see what consumers are doing. When you look at just before pandemic to what we just had July, as many people were planning their summer getaway, what you saw, these are the trend, the variation in traffic. So you saw Airbnb almost back to their normal, to the pre-pandemic levels of traffic. Expedia struggling heavily, and then even new starts, new entries. That specialists in the rentals here just making the best ever quarters for them, and this reflected here in traffic, but also in sales as well. So specifically in this summer, of course, that was a great point in time for the vacation rental because of the special situation. Mainly three factors. One is the staycation or the domestic aspect of the travel. Second is the desire of the large city population to not stay in the city after being locked, and the third is the summer perception that a rental gives me more social distancing. I don't have to interact with staff. I don't have to interact with other guests. So those three things combined probably result in this picture. But this is a moment that the vacation rental really stepped forward, and they will continue to be a factor from a consumer choice standpoint. But another shift that's really good, as we talked about, okay, there's Google, there's Facebook, there's Amazon. We will probably make a move at some point. But others is really, what are we selling when we want to position our hotel on those platforms? On any sales platforms, really. I think just to what is really our product. So it's been very easy to think of our product as combination of rate plans. I can beat them on this rate or on that rate. And a lot of that, of course, is still remains to be true. I mean, there's a $1 here or there could position you differently on a certain list, and that's important. But at the end of the day, it's also the risk of commoditization. I mean, if the entire hospitality experience that we're so passionate about, in the end, all boils down to a number. That's the definition of commodity. So actually, how do we learn the capabilities of the different go-to-market platforms to make sure we are selling the full experience, and at the same time we are maximizing the revenue because we are selling those additional services that come along with just the bed. And so this is what we believe in. This is our vision. I think, to put it in a nutshell, is nothing should come between hotels and those who sell hotels. We should just have move to having open and direct distribution marketplace in place. And that is essentially HyperGuest. It's a connectivity platform that at very high scale. At the same time, it's marketplace. So it means that accommodation providers can connect their rates, their availability, their static data, and actually define the rules of the play. That means I don't have to know you, Mr. Travel Agent. These are the rules of the game that I apply, and these are different policies that I want to give different categories of demand sellers. And then any demand seller can come in and say, okay, great, those are the rules of your game. I have a guest and I'm going to sell. I don't have to have pre-contracting. I can just search for my guest's next vacation and book it. Those could be on that side, great partners for the accommodation providers, whether you are agencies and corporations, meta searches, and specialties OTAs. All these places allow me as a hotelier to be direct in all these point of sales without middlemen and with my best real-time rate and availability, no caching or historical errors, my best, most authentic pictures, amenities, etc. And of course, the highest profitability, because again, we have expanded the definition of what is direct selling. This is basically what HyperGuest is about.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. I really like the way that you talk about this shift from selling ARI to selling experiences. And I've been talking a lot about ABS, attribute-based selling, and it all goes back to that. To forget about selling all your rates and inventory and selling something a little more than that. So okay, that's very, very interesting.
Simone get stuck.
Am I stuck?
No, you're good.
I'm good. I think Enzo gets stuck.
Enzo is frozen in time.
Enzo is frozen in time and space. Okay, guys, I would go to Sebastian. Sebastian, I know you got a presentation here in PowerPoint, so I'm sharing it right now.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Just checking audio.
Yes.
Well, Amit, I love what you presented. I think it's a great product. I can't wait to work with you guys. But what I want to do is share with you sort of a future vision of distribution. We at Clubbers, we think very hard about distribution every single day because we're right now building a platform and a new technology. And I don't want to talk about that too much about our product and platform, but what I want to do is share with you how we view distribution evolve. So Simone, whenever you're ready, I can also share my screen if that helps. Should I do that?
I think Enzo has been kicked out of the call, so I'm sharing my screen, but you cannot see it, so I'm just connecting as a backup. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay. Should I share my screen?
Even if you share your screen, you will not be able to see it because Enzo is being like the director.
Okay.
So I'm just taking over.
Excellent. Well, in the meantime, I can, I guess, talk about Montreal, the weather. What else should I talk about?
What's the weather?
How is the weather?
The weather, it's getting cold. Fall is starting. We are expecting snow. Usually in October is the first snow. So I'm signing up for my ski pass. I can't wait. I'm going to pick up my son's ski outfit soon. He's growing up very quickly, and I can't wait. End of November is usually when we start skiing.
Okay, that's great. I'm just connected with Enzo to get the code and keep it running, okay?
No worries.
Max, I know you don't have any slides, right? Or you have a presentation. So maybe we can go back to you, and the moment Enzo connects again, we go back to you, Sebastian.
Sure.
I have a whole presentation that I sent to Enzo.
Okay, so basically we have to wait. I just need to have this code from Enzo.
And actually, it visualizes very well what I would like to say. So that in this sense, while we wait for Enzo, let me chime on two things. One is Amit was absolutely right about selling on rate alone, and in our industry, we have forgotten how to sell on value as opposed to selling on rate alone. And this has been truly, I would say, it has been playing in the hands of the OTAs, who are the masters of selling on rate. We cannot beat the OTAs. That's all they know. The OTAs cannot sell on value. We, in our industry, as hoteliers, we have to relearn how to sell on value. Example, if you say, oh, I have a Sunday night special of $99, it means nothing. But if you tell them, guys, instead of commuting the heavy traffic on Monday morning to see your doctor or to have a business meeting, come and stay with me Sunday night. I have a special package with free parking, with this and that, and the price is X. That's a different positioning of the same issue that many hoteliers in big metropolitan areas have, which is Sunday night is the worst day of the week. So my point is that selling on value is what we have forgotten to do in our industry. And we are trying to compete with the OTAs by mimicking the sell on rate alone strategy, which simply we are not good at. And we can never beat the OTAs. So that's my 2 cents here on what Amit said. And as far as your vacation rental comment and the previous panel, only 6% of households in the United States have a second home. And only 4.5% of European households have a second home that can be rented. And many of those second homes are just a cabin in the woods or by a lake or something like this, that they're not even rentable, if you will. So vacation rentals will always remain a niche product. A niche product. At the height of vacation rental business, when there were no restrictions by the local, I would say, municipalities, when Airbnb and all the other Flipkey, TripAdvisor, or HomeAway, Vrbo, Expedia, they were renting left and right, whoever they wanted. There were no local restrictions. The maximum, London, Paris, New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, vacation rentals took 8 to 10% of travel demand. That's it, without any restrictions. And now when you have all the restrictions, New York City, you cannot rent a standalone home if it's not rented for minimum 30 days. Period. So Airbnb doesn't even play in the city. In Paris, you have a 120-day maximum rental if you have a standalone home. And then the penalties are severe. In London, it's 90 days. So my whole point is that Barcelona has restricted to a great extent Airbnb and so forth. So vacation rentals will always remain a niche business. That's my 2 cents here while we're waiting.
But aren't you limiting by saying 4% or 6% own a secondary home? What about all the professional property managers that are going into this segment that are?
Yeah, this is where all the restrictions are. For example, in San Francisco,
Sure,
you cannot rent a standalone home that is managed by a professional company that doesn't live in the city, outside of the city. And second, the limitation is 90 days. You can rent it up to 90 days. Now, if you rent a room in your house or in your apartment and you live there permanently, then you can do it year-round. So these are the restrictions. And again, these are the restrictions by local municipalities that basically saw that rental prices for local citizens skyrocketed. Basically, the vacation rental market outpriced and pushed out the local citizens. Local citizens simply couldn't find a livable, reasonably priced rental. So my point is that all of the municipalities of I would say, I mean, Miami Beach doesn't even allow you to book a standalone if you don't live there. So all these professional companies, yes, they manage, but they manage within these restrictions. So they cannot manage this as a hotel, let's say a professional hotel management company with, let's say, 100 properties or 1,000 properties, cannot manage those on a year-round basis simply because they have to they're limited by local restrictions. So, which those restrictions do not apply to hotels. Anyway, just as a side note, that vacation rental is here to stay, but it's not expanding. It's not outgrowing hospitality. So hoteliers, rest assured and sleep well at night.
Well, I can tell you, Max, that within 2 hours drive of Montreal, all the vacation rental kind of places like condos or small cottages, less than 500,000, have sold out. And I'm sure in and around New York, you've seen real estate sale happening for secondary home or primary homes, escape the cities.
Oh yeah, this is a true. Actually, I'm in the city. I live in Manhattan. For the last 6 months, I have spent in my weekend house in the Catskills, 5 miles from the original Woodstock Festival, up in the mountains, bears, deer, and wild turkeys, and just about any animal that you can imagine in North America.
Good for you.
So the point is that yes, but am I renting it to somebody? No. I don't want to rent it to anybody, even when I'm not there, even when I'm traveling to Europe or California or here and there. No. So the point that I'm trying to make it's a limited inventory and it's a niche business.
Well, anyway. Max, I think that just one point about it. I think that we need to differentiate between our home rentals and home vacation and villas and many products that are not the same. And judging by the numbers, and this is, numbers that anyone can look into, it's in the millions. So if you compare it to the number of hotel rooms, this is at this point about quarter to a third. It's not a small number.
Well, it's this very moment, yeah, because many hotels are simply shut down. I mean, in New York City...
No. I'm not talking about the pandemic. I'm talking about, they are evaluating number of hotels room in the world, about 16 million, and they are evaluating about 4.5 million rooms under these kind of products.
No, that actually, Simone, let's not. Booking.com has 2.5 million hotels, not hotel rooms. Hotels, which include bed and breakfasts, include small hotels, motels, but they're hostels, but there are 2.5 million establishments, accommodation establishments outside of vacation rental, and they have over 7 million vacation rentals. So let's not. In the United States alone, there are 54,000 hotels with more than 2.5 million rooms. So in this sense, anyway, let's. This was just a side note. This has nothing to do with the topic of this panel, I believe. Do you have any connections with Enzo? Here's Enzo. Enzo, where's
it's
my
great.
presentation?
I'm back. So, guys, I don't know what's up, and sometimes this is a live streaming, and the connectivity is gone. So now I'm back again. So, are we going to open the slide of Max?
Yeah.
That's right. Are you getting this slide, Simone?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen right now.
All right, let me try my side. Sorry, guys, that was a really last chapter, very hard. Those
But
are
this
the
is
one
stable.
from Simone.
Sorry.
Those are the one from Sabor.
Yeah, we're
Like-
talking about Sabor now.
No.
No, what are we doing? Cloud beds?
No. Let me pull up the slide from my side. Let me try. Okay.
Okay.
Until then, just a correction, Max, from Booking.com financial reports, this is what they are reporting: 460,000 hotels, 2.5 million homes.
It will,
That's
This is
majority.
their financial reports, their numbers. SEC filing from.
I got it.
Yeah, I know. Look more carefully.
I have an issue, guys.
That's in a
I cannot
particular-
hear you.
I'll send it to
destination.
you. I'll send it to you with the link later.
Yeah, listen, I follow Booking since the inception, so I know the original founders and so forth. So let's not.
No, that's fine.
Let's not discuss about it. Airbnb and Booking have approximately the same number of units, if you will. Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm sharing my screen now. So Enzo's got problem with connection, so I think he will not be able to join us again. So I'm sharing my screen. You should be able to see Cloud beds now.
Yeah, do you want me to go?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go. Just tell me when you want me to change the slide, and I will do it for you.
Excellent. All right, bonus question for all the travel junkies that are staying at home. Which airport is this on the top right-hand side?
That's a good question.
All right,
Barcelona?
I'll answer it by the end of this conversation. No, look, I want to talk about the future of hospitality distribution. And go one back, please. Just a promise I want to make to you is you will see things a little bit different as we view distribution. I will make you a promise around that things are shifting. And I want to share with you how we view things shifting at Cloudbeds. So 3 insights that I have for you and a bonus insight. And of course, on the top right-hand side, this is Madrid Airport, in case you wondered. So Madrid Airport, so closing that. Let's go. Insight number 1. When we think of distribution at Cloudbeds, we look at this from the entire guest journey. And that guest journey is more and more happening on a mobile device. About 60% of our booking volumes are on a mobile device as of already today, and that number is likely going to increase. We've seen a significant shift from a booking window perspective most recently, and we'll see that continue over the months and weeks ahead. The business that we're seeing right now is very local, but our competitors, which are Google, which are Booking.com, which are Airbnb, are all investing in powering the entire guest journey. So what do we mean by the guest journey? Simone, one more step, please. We talk about dreaming, searching and booking, preparing, staying, sharing, return. And all of these things ideally are part of the guest journey and are part of distribution. If you don't have the right content, the right picture materials ready, you're not going to get that customer to actually want to stay at your property. Simone, one more step. Searching and booking, one more step. You know these things. Everyone on this call will know these things. One more step. And then staying and return. You can click through this very, very quickly. I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the right things. So in summary, Cloudbeds views distribution as powering the entire guest journey. You could argue with me. I'd love to. Some people view it just as ARI and content and pictures and bookings. No, we view this as being much more invasive and much more engaging with the customer. Today, part of a booking transaction is a guest chat. Part of a booking transaction is a question that a customer may have that he wants a response in real time. And it includes feedback. And we view this being something that is moving very closely together. We see our partners, the OTAs, invest into powering that entire guest journey. And we believe hospitality as a whole should do the same. All right, insight number 2. Location matters, and it always has, and especially in the last 6 months. Most of our properties at Cloudbeds are, I would say, in secondary or tertiary destination. We don't have many hotels in Manhattan. What we do have is we have hotels upstate New York, near to where Max is living. Cottages, beach houses, boutique property. And, we've seen a significant, shift in, primary destinations going to secondary to tertiary. Right now, nobody's traveling to Barcelona. I could be mistaken, but I don't think Barcelona is as hot as a destination as maybe a cottage or a small property in the Pyrenees. And how is that translating? Well, look at the statistics. Let's look at some data around this. Next slide. We did a poll. About 600 hospitality professionals participated, and it was around the sort of core booking period when everyone was dreaming about their vacation. Where would they stay? Only 1 in 5 were actually interested in staying in a resort or hotel. Everyone wanted to distance themselves or staying in the middle of nowhere or a vacation rental. And these are hosts and hoteliers as well as travelers that were asking, or that we asked, where would you stay? Now, what's also happening, and I'm sure we've talked about this as well in previous conversations. One more slide, please, Simone. Is while vacation rentals and both hotel comparable as well as the larger vacation rentals have been able to maintain RevPAR throughout the crisis, hotels have seen a significant dip in their performance as measured by revenue per available room. This was an analysis done by AirDNA and STR that premiered at a Cloud Talks event. You can watch the webinar recording on our website. Otherwise, AirDNA and STR have already published this. It looks at the performance of 27 representative markets across the globe and looks at the performance, of course, in this specific slide, and there's a lot more slides around revenue per available room. All right, location matters, product matters. And then the third insight, and I think, Amit had a similar slide around changes that we're seeing. Distribution is undergoing seismic changes. I'm not going to comment about the Airbnb IPO or whether Google wins, but I want to share a few important pieces in this. On the next slide, what you will see is the changes in market share for specific channels. This is Cloudbeds data and may, of course, not be representative because it is unique to our properties, right? It's representative for us. It's not representative for any of these companies. What we're tracking here is how are their booking volumes changing in relation to other channels. Expedia, from our perspective, had a great second quarter in booking volumes. Airbnb crushed it. VRBO knocked it out the park, as we would say here in North America. Other channels were much more impacted. Hostel World, that is a channel, for instance, that is specifically targeting budget travel, international budget travel for young travelers, where borders were restricting, if you will, traffic, were severely impacted in overall booking volumes. Last slide on the specific one. Google is everywhere. This is our return of investment as tracked by properties running Google Hotel ads, Cloudbeds properties running Google Hotel ads. For every dollar they spend, the range is roughly $12 to $15 or 12 to 15x the return of investment. What we've seen, however, in March, the properties that continued to invest saw a significant increase in return, up to 3 times the usual size. which was tremendous. Now we see them everywhere, and they're going to fundamentally shift things around. Absolutely. But I'll leave you with the last insight on this. Everyone is watching Google, but TripAdvisor may just surprise us. And I'd love to continue that conversation with you a little bit later. I've got 3 more slides, and we're going to go very quickly through this because I want to make sure that Max has some time as well. When you look at the pace in which we're facing change right now at the moment, without access to real-time information, without access to data and information that allows you to connect the dots, it's almost impossible to run your business and make the right decisions. So one more slide, please, or one more click. If this reminds you of something, if this is a reality today in your properties, come speak with us. One more click. And one more click. This is Cloudbeds, and I'll just leave you with this. We are a single system, a single truth, a single reality, and we provide you access in real time to all data points that you need in order to run and operate your business. I think there's one more animation, and then I'll turn it over to, not sure if it's running. Maybe not. Anyway, but Max, over to you.
Yeah, Simone, I just sent you my.
I got it. Never mind. If you didn't make any change from the last version you sent, I got it. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now.
Yeah, thank you.
Wait, just give me 1 second. Enzo forgive himself, but he will not be able to be part of the show any longer, I think.
Oh, he abandoned us at the right moment.
Yep.
This is what marathon look like, guys. Not everybody
can make it to the end.
Although he was a sure contender, but you never know.
I think he's still listening to us, so we can insult him. Okay, well, you should be able to see the presentation now. Here it is. Max, go. All yours.
Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. Hi. Nice to meet you. Next slide, please. Before we talk about Google and some of the new players, or at least alleged new players in travel distribution, very quickly, the industry is changing and distribution is changing only because of one fact. And the fact is that our travel consumers have become tech-savvy, digitally savvy consumers. That's the only reason why we change in our very conservative industry. So the explosion of digital way of life, if you go to the next slide, you will see that time spent with major media, and these are hours per day, digital 6 hours and 41 minutes, TVs half that, 3 hours and 31 minutes, radio, an hour, 21 minutes, print is 20 minutes. So if you are a hotelier, you know where you should promote your product. It's digital, period. So starting with Google as one of the main players in travel, there are many speculations that Google is becoming an OTA. I disagree with that statement. The main reason is that Google, first of all, does not have the technology, an OTA type of a CRS. Second, they do not have even the institutional knowledge. Booking has 15,000 hospitality-trained employees. Same is with Expedia. Google has few dozen of those. Though Google controls the search market, if you look at August 20, United States 87%, Europe 93%, Asia 91%. And for smart hoteliers, and I mean smart hoteliers who have a diverse and multi-channel marketing strategy, 50% of website revenues come as a result of Google referrals, from SEO to Google Ads, to Google Hotel Ads, Google Display Network, and so forth. Next slide, please. There have been two very important developments at Google which directly affect hotel marketers. The next slide. First of all, Google has become the shepherd of the digital customer journey. And if you don't know what shepherd is, for all of those town folks, it's the human that tends to the sheep herd, if you will. So Google has become the shepherd of the digital customer journey, and the typical hotel booking customer journey consists of 5 stages, from the dreaming, planning, booking phase, experiencing phase on property, and then sharing phase post-stay. Google controls, to a great extent, the consumer interaction in all 5 phases. Can you go to the next slide, please? So first of all, in this 3, the 5 stages of the digital customer journey require hoteliers to get involved in 3 different types of digital marketing. One is guest engagement marketing, which is in the dreaming and planning phases, guest acquisition marketing, of course, in the booking phase, and guest retention marketing in experiencing and sharing phases. And what typically hoteliers do is that they focus only on the booking phase, which is wrong because they touch upon and they engage very few travel consumers, since they have missed the dreaming and planning phases where the true customer engagement happens. Next slide, please. The second development at Google is that Google has become an integrated advertising ecosystem. On one side, all of you see Google Ads, Google Hotel Ads, Google My Business, the local listings, Google Display Network, YouTube video ads, Gmail ads. And then on the other side, all the data that flows into Google from the Google app, Google Search, Android, Chrome, Gmail, and YouTube. All of this, Google accumulates information about practically the vast majority of online travel consumers. We saw the bulk of the online travel consumers. And this is user data that they enrich on a minute-by-minute basis, on a daily basis. And it is, I would say, very correct to assume that today Google has more data about anybody, more data than FBI, CIA, Mossad, or Interpol combined. Go to the next slide, please.
Max, I would add to that slide also. I think Google Maps, absolutely another strong position.
Google Maps is, of course,
in the dreaming stage, the planning stage. It's all there.
Absolutely. So, yeah. I mean, Google. Back in the day when Google was a fledgling Google Maps, there was another service, if you remember, MapQuest.
Yeah.
Yahoo Maps. MapQuest has had 10 times more users than Google Maps. Where is MapQuest today? Nowhere to be found. So Google, all advertising formats are intertwined and work in concert. User engagement in the upper funnel, let's say dreaming and planning phases, directly impact conversions in the booking phase. And marketing formats, marketing campaigns in one advertising format directly influence the results from all other formats. For example, your behavior, the user behavior in Google Ads, the so-called pay-per-click, directly influences the results from Google Hotel Ads, from Google Display Network, and so forth. And there's a very interesting caveat here, is that Google will phase out all of the third-party cookies by 2022, which means that all of the advertisers using third-party cookies will be out of business by that time, unless they change. And Google will use only its own first-party data in order to target, to retarget, to target different audiences, similar audiences and so forth. And again, Google is definitely increasing its hold on the online advertising industry in big time, similar to Facebook. Go to the next slide, please. So the post-crisis Google ecosystem strategy, and it's a combination of marketing and distribution, I would say, initiatives. First of all, preparing for your Google strategy, the property website. Before you even start about Google, look at your own website. Is it mobile first design? I mean, 70% of the visitors to your website most probably come from mobile. Does it have mobile first content? What about the SEO, on page, links, technical SEO? Do you have schema.org? The schema sends signal to Google as far as events, happenings at the property, timed specials, and so forth. AMPs, do you have Google accelerated mobile pages, and are the most important pages on your website basically enabled for AMP? And then, of course, you have to review your revenue management strategy and product strategy. On one hand, have you reviewed your feeder market strategy? Forget about the typical customer segments. They no longer apply today. The feeder market, people from, have you identified your guests from short haul and drive-in destinations, like here in the United States, for example? That's what works. That's why 50% of hotels have 50% occupancy in the United States. And the main reason is that the smart ones have focused exclusively on feeder markets that work today, not on Chinese that are not coming over the next at least 2 years to the United States, or Brazilians or Europeans not coming for at least half a year more, but focusing on your drive-in markets, focusing on your long short haul markets. And second, merchandising strategy. We already discussed that, coming up with all the packages, thinking like your guests today. They want to distress, they want to get away from being sheltered at home, they need somebody to cook for them, they need spa services, they need relaxation, they need family entertainment. Do you have the merchandising strategy? So when you do all of this, then if you go to the next slide, then you launch your Google campaign. If you go to the next slide, yes, launch your, no, sorry, previous slide, please. I'm really sorry. Launch a Google strategy. Start with content marketing. Content marketing is all of the unique content that you can create on your website, on your blog, social media, press releases, case studies, and everything else that basically provide value to the end consumer. Review your Google My Business listing. When was the last time that you were there? When was the last time that you responded to reviews? By the way, Google, the reviews on Google My Business, right now, the market share of reviews is bigger on Google than TripAdvisor, Yelp, Kayak, and all the other review sites combined. So your business hours, your specials, especially post-coronavirus specials, Google Ads, launch a small campaign focused on your branded keyword terms. Let's say Hotel Iroquois in Manhattan, because when people are searching for Hotel Iroquois in Manhattan, most probably all the paid search is listings are dominated by the OTAs. That's obvious. But all of your past guests, these are guests that already know your product. These are guests that know your location, and the only thing that you have to convince them is that, yes, I am safe to visit right now. Those people will be using your brand hotel term, so you have to own as much of the click share, of the view share, the share voice of your branded keyword terms, as much as budget you can afford. Use Google Display Network retargeting. These are people that come to your website through all the other efforts, and that they leave your website, and you can target them with banners, special promotions, and so forth. And of course, Google Display Network targeting, you can target your key feeder markets, surrounding states, surrounding countries, and so forth. Distribution, definitely sign up for Google Hotel Ads, but use the pay-per-stay program, which Google charges a fee, a referral fee, only when a successful guest stay is at your property. If you go to the next slide, please.
Max, I'm going to stop you here because our time on LinkedIn is finished, and otherwise we will be cut. My idea, though, because this is super interesting, and I was reading your article about that on FocusWire the other day, I was thinking if you could be up to do a full episode about Google and optimizing for Google. And we can do it together if you want.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, of course.
Okay. And I just want to have the time to say thank you to everybody that was on the panel today. Sorry for these little technical problems. It's still the last 5 minutes of Max. Very sorry, Max. We will be sure to make another round with you. And so please, thanks again for being with us today, Nir, Amit, Max, and Sebastian. The show, as usual, is live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and you will find it on the major podcast in around 45 minutes to 1 hour. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Okay, guys. Take care.
Thank you from Enzo as well. Thank you, and speak soon. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Enjoy it.